Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is our vision to find oil in Israel. Now, you may be saying, so what is your purpose? Why are you telling us this? Well, basically, just so you can know, because we are not trying to solicit any people investing at all. As a matter of fact, I've even got a disclaimer I need to read. Nothing I'm about to say in this presentation should be deemed an offering of a security or a solicitation for you to buy a security. Any such thing can only be done through legal prospectus, such as a private placement document approved by the company, which we are not currently offering. Now, if you want to know about that, when we start offering it, if you'll send an email to askstan, and in the little topic area, if you'll just put the word oil, that's all I need. I'll put you over in a little basket, and then should we start offering securities or opportunities to be involved with oil in Israel, I'll send you an email, okay? My statements are my personal views and opinions and not a legal representation or a promise. Any legal relationship, which should be including a business relationship or an investment, will only be done through a proper legal documents. We cannot guarantee we'll ever get the money drilled for or hit oil in Israel. So, here's the story. In 1982, Hayseed Stevens visited Israel, part-time pastor, a full-time oil man. And while he was there, he said that the Lord spoke to his heart and said the world's largest oil field is located at the southwest end of the Dead Sea. He said, well, if that's true, it's got to be in the Bible. So he came back, started searching. He found 17 scriptures in the Bible that say in the last days, massive amounts of oil will be found in Israel. October 31, 1990, there was a prophecy given to me by Dimitri Duduman. The angel visited the night before. He called and said, okay, here's what the angel said for me to tell you. So this is directly from the throne. Tell Stan, if he will do what God has laid on his heart to do, God will bless him more than he ever thought possible. Well, I think that probably was fulfilled about 30 years ago. I mean, I think I've been over-blessed. I do not deserve, nor have I earned many of the blessings that God has given me. So I think that's already come to pass, but of course, God is probably going to do more. 1995, Hayseed started an oil company to gather the funds to go drill a well in Israel. 1997, Dimitri Duduman died. I was very upset because I was thinking that probably the tribulation would start in 2000, as most everybody else was in those days. And we were thinking that Dimitri Duduman was going to be there to guide us through it. Well, none of that happened. So I was very upset. So I just took off, canceled all my appointments, and I went out to a little cabin some of our friends had out on the lake, and I just drank distilled water for 7 days. On the morning of the 6th day, I woke up into this vision. I woke up and I was standing in a parking lot, and I believe it was probably where the Kansas City Chiefs football team plays in Kansas City. Standing in the parking lot, I was looking south, and I could supernaturally see that cars from probably 20 miles away were streaming in, coming into the sports stadium. I knew that I had just come from a TV program where I'd been talking about it. The TV stations were actually encouraging people to go, not that they wanted to see people get saved, but they had an alternative reason, and that is those people that were going to this meeting would be the true Christians. And they wanted to find out who the true Christians were. And, of course, the folks going to the meeting knew that their license plates would be taken and there would be consequences. And specifically when I was being interviewed at the TV station, the lady in a green dress said, why is it that you have so many miracles at your meetings? So I was standing about dusk in the parking lot. I saw people streaming in from all directions coming into the parking lot. And I knew that I was going to be speaking and also in charge of the meeting. And I also knew that I would be speaking about Jesus. And I knew that people would be coming down out of the grandstands, onto the gridiron, down where the football players play, tears in their eyes, giving the heart to Jesus. And that's my heart. Now that happened May 5th, 1997. Well, excuse me, that's what sent me to the fasting. May 11th was when I got the vision. 1998, Prophecy Club put Hayseed on a 10-city speaking tour, which blew life into his vision to find oil in Israel. October 26th of 2001, Leslie heard the audible voice speak to her, and in a dream she was shown a map of where the oil is located in Israel. See, when you go looking for oil any place, that's the big question. Where do you drill? I know. I know from that, and I've got a couple other reasons, which I'll tell you part of the reasons, but I'm not going to tell you where we drill. But anyway, yes, I know where to drill. Not only do I know where, but I know how deep to drill. And, of course, that means everything. December 16, 2002, in the night, I heard the audible voice of God say, I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seeds sown by Billy Graham. Here's the situation. As I was drifting off to sleep, I said, Lord, I just want to say that I love you more than my wife, more than my children, more than the beat of my own heart, more than the breath in my own lungs. I love you more than anything. And fell off to sleep. Well, apparently that was the right thing to say, because this was the first time that I heard the audible voice of God speak. And this is what I call the eternal voice. In other words, it came from all directions in the room. I cannot tell you whether it was ears or the heart, or I just heard it every place. It came from all directions. And I heard the words, I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seeds sown by Billy Graham. Then a sword appeared in my hand. I held it with both hands, very light, very sharp. I could spin it around in any direction. I took the sword and I cut off, it was about a 2 foot by 2 foot piece of paper that appeared up before me and off to the right. I took the sword and I cut off about a third of the paper. As I cut off the paper, if I can show you here, as I cut off the paper like this part of the paper, I will show you, like that, okay, third of the paper came off, and that just turned to a waterfall. And I believe he's saying to me that the souls will come in very quickly. In other words, there'll be a time when no souls come in, then all of a sudden, when they do start coming in, it's a harvest, and they come in very, very quickly. Then May 15, 2003, Hayseed fell dead of a heart attack, and the vision fell in hard times. May 20th of 2003, this was just before Hayseed died, I had this dream. And I believe it's telling me a lot of things. The dream was, an oil friend of mine with a reputation for finding oil and myself and an intercessor from our congregation were in a sport utility vehicle driving around Israel looking for another place to drill another oil well, meaning we'd already found oil. I was driving with the biggest stake representing the finances. In other words, I had the finances. It was me that was bringing the finances to do all the drilling I've ever seen. As we were driving around looking for another place to drill, and occasionally I'd reach down, cut off a slice of this big steak, and eat it, meaning I bring the finances. The entire time, my oil-finding friend was intent on finding a drilling site. In 2006, I asked the Lord, I am a mind to just walk away from all this oil stuff. If you want me to stay involved with it, give me a dream tonight showing me what it's like to be at a gusher when it comes in. Now, I was raised in West Texas. My friends the bumper sticker says, oil pays my taxes and feeds my family. And that's true. Just about everybody in West Texas, that's all they do. They work in the oil field. People that own the oil fields live in Midland. People that work in the oil fields work and live in Odessa. So I grew up in the oil field, had a good friend of mine died in the oil field, knew several others kind of distant that died in the oil field. It's common, okay? But I never wanted to have anything to do with the oil field. So when I got involved with this oil company, not the one that I'm president and CEO of now, but another oil company, the Hayseed's oil company, nothing was happening. So I was pretty frustrated. So I just said, look, Lord, I'm just going to walk away. If you want me to stay involved with this, then give me a dream tonight. Show me what it's like to be at an oil rig when it comes in. That night, I had a dream. Now, I've never been to a rig. I've never even been within a block of one. I've certainly never been on one. Never had anything to do with the oil industry. Didn't want to have anything to do with it. I grew up. I just took a picture of the pump jack here, 8 days ago, that put me to sleep every night going, click, click. Click, click. I can still remember the sound. Pump jack just right across the street from me. So, I grew up in the oil business, or the oil patch, they say. So, that night I had a dream. I dreamed that I was standing on an oil platform, and there was a pipe sticking up. And you know how they were running pipe up and down. I was watching them. And about this time, there was a low rumble and a shake. And then all of a sudden, there was really high-pitched air under tremendous pressure come spewing out of this pipe. Really loud, really high pitched. I was holding my ears. It was still loud. Then it went silent. And then this like brown sugar looking oil came slowly kind of bubbling up, only about 2 foot up. Wasn't a big gusher up like that. But the point is, he showed me what it's like when a gusher comes in. So I said, okay, all right, I guess I need to stay involved with oil. So what I'm trying to say is it was not my idea being involved in oil in Israel. November 7, 2007, Hayseed's former attorney called and asked me if I'd be willing to start a new oil corporation to continue the vision to find oil in Israel. My exact response was, thanks, but no thanks. My plate is full. I don't have anything else to do. I'll pray about it, but probably not. So my get me out of it prayer that night was, Lord, as you know, I don't have any extra $5,000 laying around to give that oil attorney, start some oil company. So if you want me to do this, send the money. That was all I thought about. Because I figured that prayer probably would make it the ceiling. But the next day, office called. Lady wants you to call her. She wants to talk to you about oil in Israel. I said, why do these people keep calling me? I don't have anything to do with oil in Israel. Well, she's been a faithful $50 a month partaker now for over 10 years, so I think I better call her. Well, of course, I was going to call her, but now I was obligated. Thank you for calling. The reason I asked you to call is because 2 nights ago, God woke me up in the middle of the night, told me to give you $30,000 to continue the vision to find oil in Israel. My exact response was, well, fine. She said, what? So I explained, all right. So she sent the $30,000 check. It cleared, so we started Prophetic Oil Incorporated, January 1 of 2008. Now, we're not offering stock in it at this particular time, but there's more to the story. So after we started this oil company, I set up an 18-city speaking tour from Beaumont all the way up into Minneapolis. After I spoke in Amarillo, July 21st, I believe it was. I keep getting the date mixed up. It was either July 21 or July 14. No, it was definitely June. It was definitely June. I don't know. I've looked it up several times. I get that date wrong. Anyway, after I spoke in Amarillo, before I went to sleep, I said, Lord, I hope you're pleased with what we're doing because it's not going so good. We're spending $3,500 per city in advertising and not many people showing up, not many people getting saved. And that night he spoke to me. I heard words. I heard words just like I'm saying right now. And they said, Stan, I will give you the money to drill the well in Israel. I said, the oil well? But there was no response. Son, that's all I'm going to say. So I assume it's the oil well. Now, up until that point, I'd had nothing to do with these get-rich-quick schemes. But after that, I began to start listening to them, and I do not know exactly how God is going to give me the money. But again, it was an audible voice that said he'd give me the money. Now, every time I say that, I got to give you a disclaimer, and that is, we cannot guarantee we're ever going to get the money drilled for or hit oil in Israel. May 13th, 2002, I had a dream that there was an earthquake that released oil into a dead, dry formation. So here's the dream. I did not ask for this. This was the dream. I dreamed that I was on an old pump jack foundation. Having grown up in the oil field, I used to play on a lot of them. And sometimes there was a fence around them. Sometimes there wasn't. And so, there's this big chunk of concrete about 4 foot wide, 4 foot tall, and about 12 foot long. And it had a pump jack sitting on it. And the pump jack had been removed, and you could see oil was on the ground where crude oil had been spilled all over. Just an old dead well. But anyway, in this dream, I jumped up on it, and I pointed down into the ground, and I said, there's oil coming out of that formation. And about that time, there was a deep shaking. You could sort of hear it, but it was more of a feel, shaking. And all of a sudden, there was about 8 to 12, happened so fast, 8 to 12 of these spigots just, 100 150 yards out, they all of a sudden shot up, about probably 12 to 18 foot in the air, just shot up full of pressure and then just fell back silent to the earth. I thought oil flowed into this formation. I turned to my faceless friend behind me. I think that's our supporters. And I said, hey, oil just flowed into this formation. We got to go file the paperwork before everybody finds out oil just flowed into this formation. Now, that's part of what we want to do. When the money arrives for us to go over and drill this well in Israel, I'm going to take a small select a group of people, not necessarily friends, but people that are prayer warriors. And there are 3 places that we're going to go and pray. And there is I will tell you this, there is a northern location, a central location, and a southern location in Israel. And I can already tell you the southern location is the spigot that Hayseed showed me when he took me over to Israel in 1999 and showed me where him and some other people, like 4 or 5 other partners, had drilled another well back in 1985. Anyway, he explained to me all about that, and there's no sense in going into that right now. But the point is, I know where to pray and what we're going to do, and I even know the prayer. So we're going to go there, and we're going to pray over those areas, and I believe that it may be that all 3 of them has some kind of a shaking. But I believe that supernaturally God is going to show me where to drill. Now, I'm going to say something else here. I'm under non-disclosure agreements. I have given them permission to monitor my emails, my phone calls, and trust me, they do. I said the wrong word one time, and all of a sudden, dial tone. I got cut off. So they're real serious about it. And there's things I can't talk about. But one of our friends, I'll say it that way, has promised to give us 4 drilling rigs. Another doctor is pledged to give 1. I've got another lady in California that's pledged to give another. So that's 6 drilling rigs that we plan to take over to Israel. 6 of them. Now, I'll talk about the rigs here in just a second. Let's get going here. July 20th, 2014, I had a dream of me speaking in a sports stadium, getting the people to worship Jesus. And I see this is already running really long. Okay, so probably what I need to do is break this into 2 segments. That way I can tell you more of each one of the stories. So I'll go ahead and tell you the story here. This was in 2014, and I dreamed that me and Lou Young, our associate pastor at Spirit Prophecy Church, were setting up tables out in the hall at a hotel. And I turned to him, I said, I'm going to walk down the hall here just a minute, see if there's a better place to set up the tables. And so I walked down the hall a little bit, and I heard this noise, and I saw a little crack in the door, and I thought, well, I'm going to walk over there and see what's going on, because unusual sounds there. So I started pushing on the door very slightly. All of a sudden, it opened up, and I'm in what appeared to be the Dallas Cowboys sports stadium, the AT&T Stadium. And I'm in it, and the place is packed. And I turn to my right, and I see that there's a stadium, a platform, a speaking platform up there. And about that time, I hear come over the loudspeaker, here he is, the owner, the founder, and speaker at the Prophecy Club, Stan Johnson. I thought, they know me. They want to listen to me. And then I saw one of the guys stumbling over some microphone cords up on the stage, and it was our people. So I thought, oh, okay, well, I guess I better go up there and kind of take over because it's fumbling and bumbling. So I walked over, picked up the mic, and I started leading everybody in how to worship the Lord. Worshiping the Lord. And I know, because I've had a dream and a vision about us going to sports stadiums. Remember what he told me? I'm giving you part, this is an audible voice, I'm giving you part of the harvest from the seeds sown by Billy Graham. Now, who's Billy Graham? Well, he did sports stadium meetings around the globe for, I don't know, 50 years? Probably the greatest soul winner of our time. I believe he's going to give me about the third the number of souls that he gave Billy Graham. That's a lot. So all of this has a plan, and so I'm kind of revealing some secrets I don't normally talk about, but this is what God has shown me. So here's my plan. God showed me the specific scripture, the verse in the Bible that tells us where the Bible is, where the oil is located. Then Leslie had a dream, October the 28th of 2001, showing specifically where the oil is located. I've also found a series of 5 verses that tell me the depth. So I know the location, I know the depth, and I know it for 2 different reasons. Also, the Bible says that the oil is deep. You see, there's only 2 reasons why someone can't find the oil. Either they drilled in the wrong place, or they didn't drill deep enough. And the biggest problem with finding the oil in Israel is they didn't drill deep enough because they weren't prophecy students. They didn't read God's word because God's word, and I'm going to give you the verse here in just a minute, says that it's deep. So what I plan to do is take a rig capable of drilling really, really deep. The deepest well ever drilled was by the Russians down to 40,000 foot. Now, I'm going to be looking for a rig that can drill in that ballpark, that vicinity, which I'm told is about 22 stories high, 4 blocks square at the base, takes 180 18-wheeled trucks to move, about 6 months to build, 2 months to move to Israel, about a month to erect. It is not designed to be taken apart and moved. Instead, it walks like a duck from one location to the next, up or down up to a 6% grade. Walks like a duck, so it's designed to punch a hole, punch a hole, punch a hole, punch a hole. And that's what I want to do. It takes about 6 to 9 months to drill down to the test depth I want to drill to, but again, I'm not revealing that depth or the exact location. The rig I also want to get, I want it to be powerful enough to pull out a stuck pipe. A man I'm not revealing the name of drilled a well in Israel down to a deep depth. I won't reveal that either. And he hit a light showing of yellow-colored crude oil. Now, let's talk about that for a second. There's actually 5 colors of crude oil. There's black, that we're all familiar with, and then there's the tea-colored that Beverly Hillbillies made famous, called Texas tea. And the reason they call it Texas tea, I've got some in the garage. I probably should have brought it in for this little talk. But they call it Texas tea because when you put it into a glass, it looks like tea. Then they've got another color that is red. Remember the Deepwater Horizon, the big oil spill out in the Gulf? Well, that was red. I got some guys to send me some of that. And then there is green. Now, if you look at it just straight on, it looks black. But if you hold it up to the light in the right hue, you can see it has a little bit of a green hue to it. However, the highest quality crude oil on the earth is yellow. And it looks like honey. I'm going to turn my flashlight on. So what do you think? Is that honey? It's in a little bear. Is that honey? Or is this honey? Which one do you think is honey? Here's how you can tell. It's not the fact that it's a bear. It's the fact that it has a very light viscosity. See that? Whereas the bear, I can shake the bear. I can turn the bear upside down. And of course, the honey flows very slowly. I don't know if you can even see that. But this is yellow-colored crude oil. This actually came from a place out in West Texas. A friend of mine sent this to me. And you can see, I have to keep it in glass because if I put this in plastic, see, plastic is made of crude oil. It'll dissolve it. So it has to be in glass. It has to have a metal lid. It can't require or use any form of rubber or plastic because it dissolves it. And I've had friends come to my office and I've opened up the lid, which I keep very tight. And when I open it up, you can smell propane, butane, gasoline, diesel, kerosene, because they're all in here. See, the heavier, the thicker, the blacker, the less energy there is into it. But the lighter viscosity like this, the more energy there is in this. This can actually be poured into straight out of the ground, straight into your car. Now, it'll ping a lot, and you better run some filter through it to make sure you don't have any sand and stuff like that. But you can actually run your car on this. This is one of the ways they discovered that it'll power cars. Anyway, so this man drilled a really deep well in Israel, and he had a light showing of yellowed colored crude oil. But the problem is they dropped a pipe 300 feet long, a string of pipe, and when it hit the bottom of the well, now the well was some 20,000 foot deep. Okay, so there's 5,280 feet in a mile. So how long is that? We're talking about over 4 miles. So try to imagine a string of pipe 300 feet long that probably weighs several thousand pounds falling for 4 miles. When it hit the bottom of the well, it stuck. And though they pulled as hard as they couldn't get it out. So one of the things I want to do with the rigs that we take over there, I want to take big, powerful rigs. One of the things I want to do is go to that same location. I know exactly where it is. And I want to pull, let's see if I can pull that pipe out. Because they've already hit yellow colored crude oil. So let's see if we can pull it out. Okay, so I'm going to pick up here tomorrow. And I'm going to answer the question, why hasn't God released oil to Israel? I'm going to show you some scriptures that you will find absolutely amazing about a massive oil field to be found in Israel. The biggest oil field in the world is located in Israel. And I'm going to continue to talk about this. I'll continue it tomorrow. This is a loaf of bread I actually made. I made now about probably 80 of these loaves. Also, most of the people that are offering emergency long-term storage food are out. They're out of stock. Go to their websites. They're all out of stock, many of them. This is a loaf of bread, and on the left, these are stacks or totes filled with wheat. This is our warehouse in Topeka. We've got wheat, and I'm told that we have even more of it now. So, I mean, so anyway, but the point is, you order it, we can ship it. We've got it. We've got it in stock. There's your proof. I've also told, for those of you that have been to the Topeka building, this was where we had the Solemn October Assembly in 2020. Yes, 2020. This is the sanctuary now. Those are what you call pro boxes. What you can't see is they're 4 deep to the left. And we'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 deep to the right. Each one of those boxes holds 2,500 pounds of wheat. Now, if you look at the side here, well, I guess you can't see it here. This locks the box together. That's not what I'm talking about. But there's a hopper bottom. All they have to do is lift that up. They put 50 or 7-gallon pails underneath it, and they just do like this, and it fills that 7-gallon pail just like that. They fill about 200 pails at about 20 minutes. All of these all of that has wheat in it. So yes, we can ship you wheat. But I'm telling you, you better make sure it gets to you by August 6th. After August 6th, I don't know what happens. Don't wait. I'm telling you, I'm warning you. Look, we've had, I don't know, 14 different people have dreams or visions, several audible voices saying there's going to be a food shortage. We've been talking about it for a while. Here's what you do. Go to josephskitchen.com. You want to order yourself a machine package. This helps you to grind the berries, the seeds, into flour. Then the bread machine, you put in the bread machine along with 6 other ingredients like olive oil and things like that. Push about 2 hours, 20 minutes later, you have a nice hot steaming loaf of bread. Now, if you take, or at least as far as I'm concerned, I can eat one slice in the morning, 1 slice in the afternoon, and I'm satisfied. So that, to me, that means that man should not live by bread alone. Even Jesus said it. So that's not everything you need, but it's pretty close to it. Then what you want to do is decide how much supplies, how much food you want to have. You want to have food 1 person 1 year, 2 people 1 year, 4 people 1 year, 6 people 1 year. And then you just decide how much you're going to get. And if you need something to provide electricity when the grid goes down, there it is. Go to josephskitchen.com. If you go to watchprophecyclub.com, we have a very awesome special for you. We're offering 7 2.5-hour DVDs valued at $210, normally $30 each, for a gift of $20. All of them you can watch for a gift of $20, and you can stream them all, 7, for the next 90 days, all for a gift of $20. Now, here are the 7 you get to watch. Russian Defector Invasion Warning with Stanislav Lunev. This is the guy that came over and said, yes, they've smuggled suitcase nuclear bombs in America. This is the guy. You want to see him? Here it is. And then Russia's secret weapon to defeat America, Bill Snevelin, talking about scalar wave. Russian bear awakes, me talking about how the Russian bear has been awaking. And the storm judgment revival, this is what we talked about a lot from Shane Warren when he's talking about how he saw a storm, an economic storm, and then the Gulf Lakes open up all the way down to Mexico, things like that. Top Secret Soviet War Plans by Jeff Nyquist. This is the guy that researches various Russian defectors. He's the one guy that brought us Stanislav Lunev, and he talks about how they plan to take out America. Then we had Pastor Massey talk on Babylonians are coming. He had like 7 different dreams or visions, also talking about the fall of America. And my favorite speaker, Henry Groover, talking on I Saw Subs Attack America. Now, here's how you can watch all 7 of them for a gift of $20. Go to watchprophecyclub.com, and then you want to click right here. Or actually, just scroll down to here, and it'll look like this. Click on Russia and Bible Prophecy. Click right here, and then you can go in, click here, you sign up. Now, this is a really good deal to get Russian Video 7 DVD bundle for $20 for 3 months. That's a good deal. But the best deal is right here. You can get $20 a month forever, and you can watch a number of over 300 DVDs. But the best deal is right here. Get an annual subscription, $200 a year, and you can have all of these 300 DVDs at your access anytime you want to, and you can do that by going to watchprophecyclub.com. The best deal is not $20 a month. The best deal is $200 a year, and you can watch over 300 DVDs. Really good deal. Watchprophecyclub.com. Go check it out. $20 a month or $200 a year. Click like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend.